Hi folks, this is Greg Milner from Worldwide Salon Marketing, and I am delighted to have with me today one of the most accomplished salon owners and salon business people in Australia and probably the world, Julie Piantadosi.
Hi,
Started.
Greg.
Hi Julie, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good.
Julie, you started life as a 13-year-old apprentice hairdresser, didn't you?
Crazy. 13 years old, and I left school to just to touch people's hair. That's all I wanted to do. But yes, at 13, I left school. I was qualified at 17, and my journey started there.
Julie, lots changed since then. You've built a multi-salon chain in two countries. You've employed hundreds of staff, created a really successful business from really the ashes of bankruptcy when you were 19 or 20, and now you talk to and coach and train salon owners and their staff all over the world. In fact, I believe you've just been booked for a major expo in the United States.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. Thanks for that. I'm heading over to Chicago for the biggest annual event for the Hair and Beauty Expo, and I'm going to be hosting and presenting for the 2 days. So I'm really excited about that. So yes, one thing I just would like to say, Greg, to anyone who's listening, is it sometimes can be a bit, when you can hear my story and go, wow, far out, that's never going to be me. It can be anybody, and not everybody wants to own. Obviously I own multiple stores, and that's not really for everybody. But one thing that is for everybody, in every business, and especially every salon and spa business needs, is a dynamite team and an inspirational leader to lead that team. So I'm really excited to be sharing with you today.
So Julie, you coach and train literally hundreds, maybe thousands of salon owners and staff
Yeah,
all over the world.
I'd probably say more thousands, Greg. This is all, I guess I'm fortunate enough that my salons have given me massive amounts of money that have been able to help me fulfil my dream, which has been speaking on stage all over the world, and that's I've turned that into a business now, and may I say quite a good one. I've been voted Australia's top hair and beauty speaker several times now, and that's all that I do, I guess, is work with salon owners and their team and share with them, and try to give them some tools and inspiration to help them bring their business to the next level.
Well, we're privileged to have you on board. So for next week, for the webinar that we're running for folks who want to join us next week, what I wanted you to go through today is just a little preview of what they can expect on the webinar. Tell me, can you name maybe 4 or 5 top things top challenges, top problems that salon and spa owners have in your travels and you're talking with them? What are the things that come up constantly as the major hurdles that so many of them have trouble getting over?
Excellent. Well, Greg, I think so many salon and spa owners actually have the same issues with dealing with the Y generation and staff and their business and leading their team. So a few things that I just want to, I'd like to, I guess, just step people through is number one, for the salon owner in when it comes to creating a dynamite team. And the reason why you want a dynamite team is not just so that you can sit back and be proud, wow, there's my team. You want a dynamite team to be productive. And that's the most important thing. It's not about a team coming together to be great co-workers and friends. I'm talking about a team coming together to really be profitable for the salon owner and to be achieving massive rewards. So it's happy. That's what it's all about. That's how you create a dynamite team, is you have an inspirational leader who then make their team inspirational. And a team is only as good as their leader. And that's why it's really important that salon owners understand that they need to take a little bit of responsibility for what's happening in their team as well. So the first thing I'd suggest salon owners have a little think about is perhaps could some of their staffing issues be because of a simple lack of commitment? So by this I mean is, have they lost sight of their true passion? Have they lost sight of what it is that makes them want to get up in the morning and go to the salon, and what it was that they were passionate about building their business in when they first did it, because it's very hard to get caught up in bills and money and juggling money and dealing with staff coming to work maybe with not the right attitude, or perhaps staff coming to work and not doing what they want them to do. And so your passion can very quickly become dissolved. And it's really important to remember that when you are a salon owner, it is your job to lead your team, and you must commit to that every single day. So the number one thing I would say is have a look at your commitment. And if your commitment is failing a little bit, then commit to yourself again. Number two, I would say, is are you time poor? And by this I don't mean are you time poor with, doing the things you want to do. I'm saying are you time poor for your business? So this means do you ever get a thought at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, oh my gosh, I just wish I could do that. Then you wake up and you forget what it was. And I call this time poor, because you're thinking about these things in the middle of the night, things that you know you should be doing on your business, but you just don't have time to do. So I'm talking about lack of training. So thinking that you need to be putting together some training, and I'm not talking about technical training. I'm talking about this is how we do it here training. This is how we rebook. This is how we sell to our customers. This is what customer service means to me in my business. I'm talking about making a commitment and not being time poor for proper communication. So delegating proper, constant staff meetings. When are your staff meetings going to be? And continually be reinforcing staff meetings and making sure that you're sharing your vision at your staff meetings with your team.
So in the webinar, in this live webinar, when we'll have guests and salon owners watching and listening to what you're saying, will you be able to give some nuts and bolts solutions and ways they can actually achieve these results and point by point things that they can do?
Well, Greg, I think that's the only way that I can really share this properly, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Instead of just giving you ideas, I'm going to give you a dot-to-dot. I'm going to give the listeners a dot-to-dot points of exactly how they can get their staff doing what it is they want them to be doing, how to make themselves being responsible, how to get themselves to be an inspirational leader, and exactly what does that mean and how do you deliver it. And that's exactly what we're going to be covering.
When you say staff not doing what the salon owner wants them to do, that's a pretty common problem, isn't it?
No, well, it is, and it's something that salon owners are constantly ripping their hair about. Is they visualise how they think their staff should be working and taking care of their clients, and yet the staff are doing something completely different. And there's actually a specific reason why that happens, Greg. I'm not going to share that with you now because I don't have enough time, but I will be at the web bar. And what is really important is you can actually change that completely overnight. So I'm going to be sharing that all.
One of the things that you and I have often talked about is, and we often get calls and emails from our own Inner Circle members saying, the world's fallen in, I've lost my senior, or I've lost my most experienced therapist, and I can't do anything. I've got to rush out and get somebody really quickly. It seems to be a common problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, and when you're desperate, can you imagine making a decision like that when you're in that desperate state? It's just headed for disaster. So I'll share some simple steps to make sure that the salon owners aren't put in a situation like that ever again. You can there's things you can do to protect yourself from that not happening anymore. We don't have to tolerate that in our workplace anymore. So there's some things that staff are going to keep leaving, Greg, and that's all there is to it. I'm not going to be able to, other than using chains and whips to tie them up and keep them in the workplace. It's just not going to happen. They are going to leave. But the salon owners need to know that there are things that they can do to protect themselves when staff do leave, so that they're not desperate looking for somebody. And that there's nothing worse than having someone who's worked for you for a long time, and then you have this personal. You think you have a personal relationship with them, and you take it so personally when they resign, and you think it's about you, but it's actually not about the salon owner at all. It's just what happens in our industry. And salon owners can actually learn some simple steps of how to deal with that and how to protect themselves for it in the future.
We often get people posting on the Facebook forum, the Salon Inner Circle members Facebook forum, asking questions of their fellow salon owners about, oh, I've become friends. I've always been friends with my staff, and now it's turned around and bitten me on the butt. They're leaving, or they've opened a rival salon down the road. Will you be able to give some practical advice on how to
Sure.
separate the issue of being friends and being a business owner?
Sure, it's such a common thing that I hear a lot, Greg, from salon owners and from, I must say, from managers as well, is, having a relationship with co-workers, and perhaps a manager who hasn't been a manager before and then comes in place with, managing a team that she was already friends with, or salon owners being friends with managers and being friends with their co-workers, and then not knowing what to do when the wheels are falling off in the salon, and really being torn. So this is something that I'm really going to work quite specifically on, relationships in particularly. There's a difference between, I'm not saying come into the salon and don't smile at anyone and don't be nice and don't build some sort of relationship, because that's all we do is build relationships in what we do. But I'm talking about friendships outside of work and what can happen, and what to do basically for a salon owner who has already built this relationship. There's some things that they can do, I guess, just to make some small changes that are going to help them, because there's nothing worse than not knowing when you're a manager and not knowing when you're a friend, and it can start well, but it's always going to be headed for disaster.
So at the end of this webinar, Julie, what do you expect the listeners and viewers will be able to go away with? What will they be able to take away from it?
Well, I would like to think, and I know, that they're going to hear some cold, hard truths, Greg. I'm a straight shooter, and I tell it like it is. It's not pretty sometimes. It can be quite raw, but I will be hitting some nails quite hard on the head. And I have zero tolerance for bad customer service and for staff really with a bad attitude. And there's going to be lots of, we're really going to nail those things out, and really hit the nail on the head. And salon owners are going to basically be able to go back into their salon with a new lease, for themselves mentally and spiritually, and more importantly, just to get to lead their team the way their team needs to be led. And if you can't lead those people, if you think that perhaps there is somebody that needs more help, or perhaps I call them the unmotivated, I want to give them some tools of exactly how they can deal with those unmotivated team members.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before we started this call, we were talking about leadership, and I talked about during the Great War how teenage officers in the Great War were able to lead their much older soldiers over out of the trenches and into battle, and these were kids barely out of school, yet they were able to lead. And it makes you wonder if teenagers can lead men into battle, surely grown-up salon and spa owners can lead a handful of staff in business, you would think.
Absolutely, it was perfect, and I was really inspired by you telling me that story, and it just went together so perfectly with everything that I believe in and train about. Is that leaders? Once upon a time, we thought that leaders were born. There's lots of songs and lyrics that are written about leaders being born. I don't think leaders are born at all. A leadership skill, to possess brilliant leadership skills, I think that needs to be taught. I really do. I don't think it's something that you're born with, but I do think it's something that you can train yourself to be. And that's what I'm passionate about, is building brilliant leaders. Because if you're a great leader, then I'd like to think that you can lead your team really, really well to achieve profits, because that's what it's all about, leading your team to make a profitable business.
So here are the details. The webinar is being held in Australia and New Zealand. It will be on Monday the 12th of September at 9 a.m. Western Time, and that is 11 a.m. Eastern Australian Time and 1 p.m. New Zealand Time. For North Americans in the USA and Canada, because of the international date line, the date for the webinar, it's the same webinar, but we cross the date line, so it's the day before. It's Sunday the 11th of September, and that's at 6 p.m. US and Canadian Pacific Time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern US time. Thanks very much.